All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is Wednesday, March the 9th, 2016. And the title of tonight's webinar is Trading Phantom and Mid-Band Trades. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading rooms, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading rooms, or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should ever be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? If not, we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, I don't see any in the question log. Y'all are awake, right? Everybody type in a yes if you're awake, or a Y for awake. Everybody doing okay? All right, good. I see them coming in. All right, you are awake. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you a screen. And we're going to go over some details on this screen because what I want to show you tonight is how easily you can make your trading turn around where you can be profitable most days, okay? You can absolutely. Now, if you come to our trading room, you'll notice that we call some great trades to begin with, and you're going to be able to get green anyway because I think our trade calls are pretty much through the roof. Our people say they are. All right, but what if I was to tell you that you've got a 250 million to 1 chance of winning the lottery, and yet people go out there and they buy those stupid tickets, don't they? You know, I mean, granted, you could get struck by lightning 3 times in a row too, about the same chance of winning the lottery more than likely. But what if I told you about a couple of trades that if you follow the rules, they're about 80%. We won't nail it to exact because, you know, I don't know if anybody's done the exact figures on it or anything, but we've been told 80 to 85% on phantom trades and 80 to 85% on first time into mid-band after a trend change trades. And that's a pretty good way to make a pretty decent living trading, right? Absolutely. I think anybody in here would agree that that would be a pretty good way to make a living. And there are trades like that that set up on these charts all the time. It's just amazing. Now, bear with me just 1 second. I want to show you something from the other day. See if I can get this to show here. For some reason, it was saved in Photoshop. But anyway, let me see if I can get it to show here. I showed this trade just the other day, and one of our people went ahead and took a screenshot of it, okay? But this is the first time into phantom after a trend change, and I'm going to show that in several places. A long trade. It came right to resistance, and I shorted it, okay, because I just wanted to scalp it. And then when I saw this bar come up and popped up and didn't take out this low here, I went ahead and went long, and I got that trade, and it kept going, by the way. Okay, this was just where I was at when the guy happened to take the little snapshot. But that's the type of trade that we're talking about right there, okay? That trade is a really, really good trade to take if you follow the rules. Okay, now let me ask a quick question. Does everybody know the rule on phantom? Because I get it all the time. Well, isn't that a phantom trade? You know, we might be in the room trading and somebody says, well, isn't that a phantom short? And I look and I go, well, no, it's not. Because you have to have a trend change first. And what I mean by trend change is, just like on this chart right here, you went from red to the green. You know, that's your basically your trend for, you know, the long starting. And then you have your trend that's actually your high for the day. Now, this turned out to be the high for the day, obviously, because the day had just started the session, okay? And you'll get a lot of the blues right at the start of the session because obviously, or the reds, which means that that's a session low, okay? But what we're looking for, just to give you an example on this, all right, if this were to come down into this area right here, that's a phantom first time after a trend change. Now, you're not going to get them if you just decide to go ahead and just buy only if it touches this little magenta area here, because phantom trades set up between here and here. Okay, they don't always come down to here. Okay, now you can also look at your support and resistance, and you can tell when you're going to get a phantom quite a bit. Okay, for instance, by looking at this chart right here, and I teach this all the time, where is lightning on this chart? Well, I've drawn a line there, so we kind of cheated, but that's lightning right there, right? Then you've got another lightning swing, which I call my secondary swing, right down here. Okay, if we're going to continue up, if this was to pull back at all, I would expect it to go ahead and pull back and give me a decent trade, wouldn't you? And that's where I'd be looking for it, between those two lines right there. I would expect it to come, you know, maybe a little lower than this one possibly, because that would be right at mid-band. Now, mid-band trades, what you're looking for is you're looking for first time in a mid-band after a trend change. And the very best mid-band trade is on a long, it needs to take out mid-band or at least touch it. They're not as good a trades if they don't come down to mid-band. Now you can scalp them, and we show that and teach it, but what I'm going to teach tonight is strictly the mid-band and the phantom trades and some little support and resistance trades. Okay, let's look at this chart real quick, and I want to show you this one, of course, that you're looking at has no prices on it, but they're really there because I do this in my webinars quite a bit. You'll notice that I drew lightning on the chart, and that's real lightning. The prices just aren't there. But here is what it actually looks like at that point, okay? That's exactly what the chart looks like. Now, we haven't trailed down enough to make another swing, so obviously our price is right here, okay? Now, what I was talking about, though, let's just look at this. Let's say that you walk in like I did the other morning. All right. Here's a first time trend. Let's just go from here. This is green. We know that's a long type trend that we're looking for. This is short right here, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to clarify a little bit more that you don't have to necessarily get above the mid-band on a short or below the mid-band on a long if you get these ellipses, because those ellipses are calculating where those swings are. Okay. Now, we're going to go to first time into phantom first off. Let's just go ahead and take this all the way over here. First time into phantom after a trend change. Let's say that you missed this whole run and you think, oh my goodness, I just missed one heck of a run. Okay. But what about first time into phantom after a trend change? See that right there between line 6 and line 7? That's a phantom trade. Now what you're looking for when you take that trade is the first rollover bar. You may have even taken it on this bar because that did qualify. It went between line 6 and line 7, so that rolled over. And all you're looking for is to come down to the mid-band, okay? And that would be a pretty decent trade with a couple of contracts, wouldn't it? I would certainly think so. Okay, so let's just say you took this trade right here on this bar because you were watching for a phantom trade. Okay, that bar right there. And of course, we're looking for short, so I'm going to change this to a short color. Okay, and you put your stop just above it, a couple of ticks or so on the close of the bar. And it never got you, by the way. Okay, and you hold it, and there you go. You just got a mid-band type of trade on that. You can absolutely just take the coin right then and there if you want to, because that's what a phantom trade is down to mid-band. And I like to watch when it goes through mid-band. If it just blows through it like it's doing right now, and if you do get like a bar reversal like that right there, you know, I'd probably put my stop just above this little resistance area, like right here, maybe even right here, you know, where that swing is. And if they take that out, I'd probably be out of the trade, and they did it right there. Okay. But that's a first time into phantom after a trend change, and it pays off. A couple of contracts, that's more than $200, right? Probably closer to $300, depending on where you got out and of course where you got in. Okay, Now, what is not a phantom trade is, let me see if I can find one here. Okay, I've had people say, well, isn't this a phantom trade up here? Well, obviously you can see that it pulls down to mid-band. This one pulls down to mid-band. Uh, this one even pulls down to mid-band, but, well, this one doesn't get to mid-band quite. But no, that's not a phantom trade because you're actually literally counter trending when you do that trade. What you're looking for in a phantom trade is this trade right here. Thrust up, there's your mid-band trade, there's your phantom trade. Now, how many people would already be short on this? And by the way, you can box this in and you can short this and get some quick moves, but I'd highly recommend, staying with the trend and getting these phantom type trades because they're quite nice. You'll hear me call them all the time in the room. Even, Charles might be short to give an example, and then I'll say, well, protect it at phantom because we're going to get a bounce. Okay. Now, Peter says he's not quite clear on it. So let me get it really clear for you. Okay. You've got to go from a downtrend to an uptrend for a long phantom trade. Okay. So let's say that you walked in and you saw this red background and you saw the red background and you missed all this. Let's just pretend you just walked in. Now you've got a transition background. Okay. And now you've got an up background. That is a trend change. Okay. So which phantom are we looking for on this particular trade? We're looking for this one. Okay. For a long. We're looking for this one up here when it's in this type of, the downward move. We're looking for first time into phantom after a trend change or even mid bands, and you can box them in. This one never got to phantom, but it doesn't mean you can't trade it. We teach you how to trade this, but tonight I'm going to talk, mainly about phantoms and mid bands. But you can clearly see if you were doing this trade even, there's first time into mid band after a trend change, and basically you can just box it in. There's your box right there, isn't it? So you box it like so, and then when it breaks down, you're in the trade. Okay, and a monster trade it turned out to be, right? Okay, so you don't have to wait for phantom, but what I'm trying to teach tonight is when you see phantoms, don't run, because some people will be short from like mid-band and then they hit phantom and they think they're still going down, and what happens is it's a full-blown trend change. Okay, so you got to be careful of that. For instance, just like I was talking about, red mid-band goes to green, like so. We're looking for this trade right here. Now this is going to step up as the trade goes, so it may not be here that your trade happens, but you just simply look like this. It's about where you want that trade, is like between those two lines. You can even just draw a little rectangle and just keep an eye on it. Okay, because when it comes down in that area like that, see, that came awful close, and that would have been a good long if you just simply did our rule that we have on red bar probes too. Okay, does everybody know what our rule on red bar probes is? We've had it for years. You look for a trend change. You look for the first time that the bar turns red and the bar goes back to the upside. That's your entry right there. Okay, that's also what we call a line 3 trade, which I'm going to teach tonight also. That's a mid-band, what we call a money trade. Okay, but your phantom trade is actually right down there. See it? That's your phantom trade. You're looking to get into mid-band. That's your profit target right there. Okay, and is that a bad trade? Not at all, is it? And what about those people that just boxed it in like under here, got in here short, and then got 3 ticks, and then it bounced on them? And guess what? The trend was actually not down then, was it? It was actually to the upside. Our software catches those pretty good, by the way. Okay? That software catches it pretty darn good. You'll find a lot of times when you take these trades like this, that phantom here protects some at like mid-band, you're more than likely going up in this area, like right here, to even here to check it. Even when they're going sideways, that's what markets do. You want to see if it did it? There's a phantom trade. You're in it. comes back to mid-band, right to an ellipse, right? Goes back up, dances around sideways a little bit, going down a little bit, still in if you happen to have it at cost, right? You could be anyway. You could put it right below here. Of course, you got your profit. Look where it hit that line I drew exactly. Always got to look for those little swing areas because that's where they hit their head. Okay. Now, where would your next trade be on this chart for a phantom? Let's watch. I'm going to let y'all pick it out for me. Okay. We've gone from short to long, and now we're looking for short again, right? So we got to wait for the mid-band to change. Okay, we're waiting for mid-band to change. No change, right? Turned out to be a nice little long trade, but we're waiting for phantom trade, right? Let's see if we can find one. Still hadn't changed, by the way. Okay, that is not a phantom trade right there, is it? Is that a phantom trade? No, because that's not first time in after a trend change, is it? Does everybody see that? Okay, first time in is about an 80% probability, 80 to 85% probability trade. And if you draw on your chart, you'll see right where they're going. I drew that line ahead of time so we could see where it hit its head. Okay, so let's see if we can get a trend change. Still, by the way, that's not, quote, a trend change right there even, but that did do what we call ratcheting up. So could you take that trade? Could you take that one? Yes. And that's what I was talking about on that other chart about ratcheting up. Now, when it's sideways like this, you're careful of these second ones, okay? But if it ratchets up above the previous swing, then phantom goes back into play again. But be careful because it won't do phantoms forever. It's going to finally break down again. They always do. Okay? See that now here is starting to be your trend change. Not yet. See your mid band is yellow right there. Just turn to short right there. Now, where would be our phantom trade? Now, we're not talking about, this may drop 100 ticks, I don't know, but a phantom trade is first time after a trend change. That's the type of trade that you're looking for. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't take some trades here, but I'm not going to take this even if this drops like 100 ticks. I don't care. I want to show you phantom trades. Okay, we know that we'd take this trade, right? Where would we take the trade? Well, I like right here and here, and I'd like a thrust down, right? And I'd like a kiss and a rollover. See there? You can tell it was going to do it because it came back and kissed resistance. We teach that trade. Okay. Line 7, Walter, on your question, you know where line 7 is, right? That's your, you start with 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so that's a line 7 is your phantom. Okay, and line 1 is your phantom also. Okay, let's see, I got the question wrong. Does a blue mid-band high mean new highs are happening, and a red mid-band line mean new lows are happening? Well, lows for the session. Yes. The magenta one is basically a downtrend, but when it turns to red, that's when it's a new session low for the day. For instance, if you looked at this over here all night, you'd see that 1071 looks to me like the low. Probably, yeah, it was. Okay, so once it breaks that 1071 right there, if it breaks it, you're going to pretty much see that it turns red. See there? It's taking out the session low. Okay, now, like I said, we knew where to take this trade because I drew on this chart just a minute ago. You got that trade right there. Okay, you got this trade right here if you do the ellipses. We're not teaching that as much tonight as the phantom and more the mid-band type trade. We'll go over these ellipses another time. Everybody knows the way we trade in that room that this would be a viable trade. But where's a phantom trade on this chart? Phantom trade is all the way. Tell me when we get it. Where's our phantom trade? Phantom trade? What do you think? Yeah, that's a phantom trade. And if you look to the left to trade the right, you can see resistance right there and even right there at phantom. So between those two lines, I'd probably be taking a trade anyway. The way we teach it, looking to the left to trade the right, it thrusts down and it's going to check it. It's going to check those swings again. And what does it do? It does exactly that. That's a phantom trade, right? And you get you a nice trade. I didn't even have to do anything except just, I knew it was going to be a decent trade because what was it doing? It hit resistance, it rolled over. That is still a downtrend at this very moment. Okay. Now it doesn't mean that it's not going to change because a phantom trade is a deep retracement trade that more than likely could be a trend change. Okay. But we don't know this is a trend change yet because it was just simply first time into phantom after a trend change. That's exactly that trade that I took the other day, except the opposite of it on crude. You know, that chart that I showed everyone? Instead of going long at the phantom, you go short. Okay. You come back down to a support area, which you can see you got support right here, and you've got support right here. And that bounced right off of that. So you could have taken a quick long, very possibly, right? We teach that trade too. See, that turned into a nice trade too, even if you went long. Because this is kind of sideways. You can trade both sides, but I'm going to only teach the phantom tonight and the mid band. Okay. All right, let's go on and let's see if we can get some actual trades and y'all call them out for me, okay? All ready? Where do you put the stop, John? Well, what I personally like to do on a phantom type trade, just to give an example, if you got in on this bar right here, okay, and you put your stop like right there, okay, this bar went up, this bar went down, that could have possibly stopped you out. We recommend actually putting it back a few ticks until you get your 5 ticks. You know, for instance, if you got filled here, that only went down like 3 ticks, went against you, you never got your 5 ticks, but then you finally got it, okay? Because until you get those 5 or 6 ticks for that scalp, you can't really put your stop so tight that they'll get you out that quickly, okay? Because if, like I said, if you entered here, let's just draw where you might have gotten filled. That's a very good question, by the way. All right, 1068.90. All right, they came down to 1068.60. That's only 3 ticks. You never got a scalp. Then they went up. Then they went down. That might have been your 5 tick scalp, very possibly, maybe not. And then they came back up and they tested. And usually what I do when they wick like this is I bring my stop like that instead and even drag it like 2 ticks back. And then that bar never gets you out if you use Object Traders close a bar. We did that on several trades today. Okay. Now let's go through the same scenario. We got our phantom trade, by the way. Now let's look for a trend change again. Let's just see if we can get a trend change. It's kind of late at night to be trading on this to begin. There we go. There's your trend change. All right. So by looking at this chart, where's your next trade on this chart? Just by what I just taught. Everybody see it? Okay. What I like to do is this. Well, let's draw our lightning first off because we don't know where it's going to stop yet, but let's draw lightning. Okay, there's our lightning right there. You got a swing at 68.80. So I'm going to put a swing right there. And let's keep going. Barely takes out the highs, so this isn't really your swing here. Not really identified like this one anyway. Okay, now you've got a mid band right there at 69.80, right? And that's also a lightning swing. Now, this is what I want to show you here that you got to be really careful of when you're trading. All right, first time into mid band is the trade we're looking for, right? So I like to draw on my chart. I've got a swing here, and I've got a swing here. Now, if I'm going to continue up, they could kiss this swing. It's not quite at my mid band. I want a little bit below my mid band. So between here and here, I expect it to bounce. And what I normally do is, since this shouldn't take this out, I go ahead and put my entry like right in through here where you still get a higher low. Okay, so draw two lines and let's see if we can get it. Oh, we don't know. You want to trade it? Let's trade it. We'll put Object Trader on. We're in replay mode. Let's just do little scalping. You want to just do little scalpies? All right, so we're looking for a trade at or below mid-band on a long trade, right? That's the rule that to get that 80%. Okay, if we bounce here off of 1069.80, okay, that's what we call a shallow retracement, and you can scalp it, by the way. You want to see if it'll work? Let's just see if it'll work. Would we use bar close or region? Well, Carl, on that question, you could use either. I personally like to use the lines themselves. Just to give you an example, let's just start this up and see if we can get a decent scalp. See if we can get one. I'm going to kick it up to about 8 times speed. Hopefully we'll get some movement here in a second. There we go. All right. At or below mid-band, right? So let's see if we can get this trade. I like to watch these with just market. And a lot of times you don't have to wait for a bar to close even, because you're just trying to scalp. See if we can get it. Now we've already got the thrust, so we're waiting on the retrace, right? See if we can get that retrace. What shoots up usually comes down and checks. I'll speed it up a little bit more. Hopefully I can get this if I go like 25 times. I practice it 500 times a lot of times, or 100 times. So, okay, see, it came down perfectly. Perfectly to my line, between my two lines, like I said. All right. Where's my swing? Well, I got a swing right across there. See it? Let's see if we can just scalp this just for the fun of it. There we go. We got it. All right. Now, let me ask you a quick question. We're going to slow this down just a little bit. Where did I say that we drew the line to begin with? And look what showed up right there at the bottom. Why did I take that right there? Because it came right down to my ellipse. And it didn't take out my secondary swing. Okay, now when they've checked here, you can pretty much say, you know what? I'll bet you they'll more than likely at least check the next swing up, you know, which could be like all the way up here. And you can even be ready if you want to be, to where you can even put on like an extra contract or so. I don't know why that's just showing 1. We're long 3. Not sure what's going on there. That lost one of my targets. But anyway, we've got the trade. I'm going to go ahead and tighten that right underneath that swing. Exit on close, just like we teach it. Okay, now that is a mid-band trade. Notice how it didn't just come exactly to mid-band, but it did come between the two lines that I drew for my support. That's why we draw those two lines in that room all the time. Now, what if you missed this trade? Does everybody see the next trade on this chart? Because I can tell you, it's got to do some things first before you'll know it. But what if you were walking into your trading computer and you said, you know what, I missed that one, and they could easily turn around and probably take me out. But what if they broke this, came up and took this swing out by even a little bit, like ratchet up? Wouldn't they come back and kiss that area right there? More than likely. If you use lightning, you'll see it. Now, we don't know it's going to do it, but I'm just saying if it does break this, then very possibly we're going to go ahead and come back and kiss it, and that's what we call a kiss trade. Basically teaching the mid-band trade tonight, though, and the phantom trade. Okay. Now, usually when I see something like this, I'm kind of like this. I would have already done it, though. I'd turn on my bar close and add a few contracts, and I'd probably just go for like 5 ticks on the contracts that I add. Because all I'm trying to do is keep my runner going, but also, you know, maybe get 3 contracts with 5 ticks even would be $150. See there? Okay, now we've just got 1, right? So what do? The way we teach, now I'm going to go through this too because we got some people in the room that have never been in here before. Where would you put your stop on this trade? You got to use lightning, right? Okay, so let's use lightning and stay with the trade. Where's the stop on this trade? It's right under there. Could you move your target? Absolutely. Now, where did they just break out from? Where we drew our line, right? So where do you think more than likely, unless we get some zigzagging, then we'll have some different areas, but right this very moment of what I'm looking at on the chart, you've got support at 1070.80. Absolutely. Now, if it zigzags up and we start getting some lightning, that's a different story. Okay? But when they shoot up and take out like support like that, now here's a what we call a micro swing right here, starting to set up. If it closes above, you could go ahead and bring your stop under here. As soon as that closes above, I like to wait for it to close above because then I'm pretty sure this is going to be my little micro swing. That's fine right there, don't you think? That's fine as it can be. Okay? Now, we're not going to do counter trim, but I can tell you this, that more than likely, if that broke that little micro swing right there and it's true lightning, I would probably take a quick shot at shorting it. Because, see, that's lightning right there. And if they break it, that's identified, they're more than likely going to at least come down to here. Okay? Now your lightning is here. See it? Let's go ahead and move that out of the way. Your lightning is right there, right? 1071.70, close of the bar. See how good those mid-band trades? Now, let's stop for just a minute. I'm going to put this on pause because I want to show you something on the other chart. This band that's in the middle here is called the money band. Okay, you've got your mid-band indicator, which is your chunky line in the middle. That is your mid-band. That's line 4. That's halfway in between these areas right here. 0 to 8, that's 4. No matter where it ends up, that's line 4. Of course, you can clearly tell that this is line 0, line 1, line 2, line 3, 4, mid-band, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Okay? So what we're looking for on these type of trades is we're looking for mid-band to line 3 on a long thrust again, okay, after a trend change. Now remember, that's the key to it. It's after trend change. You got to be real careful getting in this sloppy stuff, thinking, you know, that you might be bouncing off mid-band. They'll take it below it. They'll pop you in and out like a yo-yo. But after a trend change, that's a pretty safe trade. about 80% safe to be exact. Okay, let's go ahead and put the chart back on. Didn't get taken out yet, did we? You want to try a quick 5 ticks short? We'll do a reverse at exit on close, if that takes out lightning. Now, you think, whoa, wait a minute, what if that doesn't go down to mid-band? Well, it thrust up above the previous swing, so it usually does go down to mid-band after a thrust up like that. If they take out our micro swing, and that is our micro swing right at this very moment. Okay, let's see if they'll take it. Now, don't take this particular trade unless you're really, really, really used to it and good at it. Because there's times I'll even do it like this. Say, you know what, if they break this even, they're probably going to go down to, you know, at least this previous top. So could I get 5 ticks? We'll find out. We're just about to get filled. We got filled. Till we get the 5 ticks, we got to leave our stop where it's at, and there's your 5 ticks coming up. Now, where did I say our next trade is on this chart? Where did they break out from? Whoa, we didn't get our 5 ticks. Got to be careful. All right, let's look at this. Let's take lightning off the chart and let's identify our swings. If you were to be asked, where did Russell break out for this thrust? It's right there, isn't it? It's right there. Looking to the left to trade the right. You've got a high, a low, same, and then it just thrust up. So where do you think more than likely they'll check? I could probably actually even make a little bit more money just simply by coming down to this swing or even this swing. Looking to the left to trade the right, they'll probably come down here. But now I'm trying to go for 9 ticks instead. And just in case, I'd probably put my stop there and turn off exit on close. Okay, knowing what we know about looking to the left to trade the right, where's our next trade on this chart? At or below mid-band, right? That's where it broke out. There's a mid-band, little bounce. But it broke out here, didn't break out at mid-band. That may go ahead and head up from there, but it just, well, it barely touched the mid-band. I guess we could have taken that. I didn't see that quite touch the mid-band. I'm trying to get below the mid-band if at all possible. Okay, here we go. Not yet. That's support. Thrust up above it. If you put Rankos on, you probably see it was just straight up bars too. Come on, kiss support. There we go. We'll turn on our bar close now. That's our support area right there. If you draw your lightning, you'll see it too. Isn't that a thrust, retrace, big thrust? Look at your lightning 2. See the high, the low? Okay, that's where they broke out. Now we haven't gotten filled yet because they're taking it out a little bit. That's okay. Guess where they cannot take out if they're going to head up on this trade? Does anybody know? They cannot take out that swing right there. Because if they take that swing out, they're no longer heading up. And that would be a phantom trade, by the way, if they do come down this low. But I expect them to bounce off of this area right here because that's where they broke up. Still got our long entry on. We'll see if we can get a trade. Now that is still, by the way, a mid-band trade. There we got it. All right. Forgot to turn on other targets, but anyway, we'll go ahead and add. It takes out resistance right here. That'll be a close of a bar. I'll just go ahead and add. We don't have to add 3. We just want to get more targets on here. Probably add 2. There we go. All right, we just added 2. That way we've got some more targets on there too. Now, where would our stop be on this? Well, we got to break this swing before we really know it's going to be here, but you know, I'd probably still go ahead and put my stop just under here with exit on close. Simply because that's also a red bar probe that we teach, and that's the red bar probe first time after a trend change. That's why we have our bar colors, by the way, is so that you look for the yellow is a mild retracement and red is a deep retracement on a long, and vice versa, it would be yellow and then blue. Just got us a nice little trade. Fade the target. Ellipse is your target right there, and I'd draw a trend line myself. We do this all the time in the room, and I would probably protect that somewhere around that area right there with that trend line. Or what can you do? Well, for one thing, you can use lightning, right? Now this didn't ratchet up very much. I don't like this type of trade because I'll tell you what I see them do more than anything is they'll double top up here when they barely ratchet up. So you could even take all of it out if you wanted to when it comes up there, because that's where you're shooting for. Anybody have questions so far on mid-band trades? See, a mid-band trade just has to be in the money area, and your best trade is on a long below mid-band or at least at mid-band, and your short is just the opposite, above mid-band a little bit and a rollover. And like I say, we teach this particular trade all the time, and they work. An 80% probability to trade is not a bad way to trade, right? Look at that, hitting that top. Let's see if we can get a lightning trade to the downside. That's your lightning right now. Well, we got us a nice little trade, and it came right up to the top. That's an identified lightning, by the way. Turn on my little handy sniper. See if I can get a, and this one we don't want going against the trend. We're really only looking to scalp it. Now, probably more than likely, if that hit that top like that, I'd probably hit the short button and just take a chance on that because that looks like a double top. Haven't even got a blue bar yet. But we'll take this one and see if we can get, where do you think more than likely that you're going to get another trade on this chart? Looking to the left to trade the right. Let's see here. Hadn't identified this yet. If it takes out that little swing here, I'll put my sniper right here because I'm just trying to get 5 ticks. But it's got to close above that little swing, or this is your identified swing. You can clearly see it if you draw lightning. See lightning right there? Do we want 3? You could do 3 contracts, absolutely. Matter of fact, we already got it though, so we're too late. We'll just take a $100 bill if we can get it. Now, until we get that 5 ticks, where's our stop got to be? Well, if you're ever going to want to trade the markets and make decent coin on it, even if you go with a counter trend trade, you got to at least get those 5 ticks, or you got to leave your stop above that lightning swing. Let's see if we get it. I don't know if we will or not. This may be our first losing trade. We'll find out. Now, I'm not going to reverse this, obviously. There we go. We got it. We got it. Okay. Now, without this ratcheting up, what's our rule of thumb? This didn't ratchet up this time. So let's draw a line across here. It ratcheted with this one, high, low, higher low, same high. So what happens usually when that happens? You draw a box or draw lines. I would expect it to be a higher low here if we're going to go ahead and head up, or to hit its head down in here. Okay? So we'll wait for a trade like that. Now we're not looking for mid-band. We're looking for a support bounce or possibly even a phantom trade. Let's see if we can get it. I'll speed this up and I'll still hit market order if I see it. Well, that's pretty quick. That's support. I meant to put on some, well, it's too quick. But see where that bounced? Right where we drew our line. Now that's probably going to go ahead and head up, and that's okay. We just missed out, unfortunately. But it's because the thing's going too fast. Look at that trend line I drew. You can always draw a good trend line, and you can definitely get in some good trades. All right, let's slow this down a little bit. Where's our lightning swing on this chart right now? Isn't it right there? At this very moment anyway, right? Could we very possibly short that if it happens to break that? Thinking, well, not necessarily, because you're only going to want to scalp if you're going against the trend, okay? You just really want to scalp it. Let's see what it does, and I'll see if we can fire a 5-tick trade. We'll do 3 contracts. I'd like for it to do a little blip up and make me a swing. I don't like that one right there. That's too deep. It's too close to mid-band, and that did ratchet up. But I will take it if it takes that little swing out. Got my line drawn. That's lightning. That's identified lightning right there at 74.30. Okay, we just went under it. All I want's 5 ticks. Come on, 5 ticks, 150 bucks. Come on. Your support's right down here, right? That's kind of where they broke out. So I would expect them to at least hit down here on this little pullback. Let's see if they do. Got our 5 ticks. Now, one thing you can do, when you get these nice moves like this, if you want to just scalp them like this, that's not a bad thing to do. Just don't try to go for the gusto, or at least, if it gets you, say 5 ticks to give an example, and you just keep moving your target, just don't let them close the bar back above where you got in, because you can get some pretty good runs on these, okay? Because where did this break out? Well, earlier it broke out way over here, remember? We called it. It came right down to that swing right across there. So where did this one break out? Well, it broke out right here. So couldn't you have easily said, you know what? It more than likely, if it breaks down, it's going to go down there. If it takes out that support, could I try that? That's a little riskier. You know what I'd probably do in a case like that? I'd box it. Let's see if we can get a box. That's one of Charles's favorite trades right there. It's below mid-band. It's not making a box just yet. that might be making a box. See if I'm going to get that or not. I may have missed it. All I'm trying to do is get down to here. Haven't got the trade yet. There's the trade. We're short. We know that support's right down here, right? Looking to the left, trade to right. So even with just one set of contracts, we should easily be able to get down there because that's where they broke up. Haven't got our 5 ticks yet even, or even below where we got in. So we're feeling a little bit of heat. You can tell by looking at Object Trader right now. It's red. If it's red, that means you're losing money. If it's green, it means you're making money on your trade. And if it's white, you're break even. That's losing. That's still losing. Where's resistance? Well, resistance is right there. If it's going to roll, it needs to roll right at that swing right there. That's where it broke down. Now, the reason we took that is because it took out support. Does everybody see why you can take that trade there? Because it literally took out what we call the medium swing. Now, we don't always take a short with blue midband and all that, but that was clearly taking out support. And when it takes out support, you can take those type of trades. Okay? Will we get down there? I don't know. We'll find out. I like to always draw on my charts. You'll see in the room when we're trading, I'm going to draw areas on the chart of where these could go. All right. Where would Russell have to take out to change trends? See, because looking at your longer term trend, okay, you've got a high here, a low, a high. So that negates this one. So you go high, low, same low, so that's good, and then a higher high. So where is your medium swing? It's right down here. Okay. Now, a good trader, would you be ready to take that trade for a scalp possibly, or possibly even better than a scalp? Because that's support. That's a last ditch effort at support. And since we're going to be shorting this, I'm going to go ahead and draw a box now. We said we'd box it. Let's go ahead and box it. We'll go ahead and close it outside the box. Did I draw a box? I don't want to draw a box. I want to use region. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. We're below midband, so we're boxing. There's resistance right there to the left. So if they take that out, they could head back up. But if they take this out, they could head down. So I'll turn it on both ways. And we'll go ahead and add if it breaks. That's boxing in the way we teach. The reason this look is starting to look like a trend change is because it took out the medium swing. Or at least what we call our secondary swing, which is right up here. This is our long-term swing right here. Okay, you can clearly see it if you draw it with the control key. See there? High, high, low. So it would have to take that out to go down. So if you're a trader and you like to trade these bounces, you know, for 5, 10 ticks, go ahead and put Object Trader down here even, because I just about bet you that will bounce right there. At least, and this is going to change trends if it gets down here. But that doesn't mean you can't take that trade, because that's a good support bounce. We call those all the time. Okay. Now this is a phantom trade right here that I don't take, and I'll tell you why. Because this particular trade has taken out the lightning swings that are your medium or secondary support. And I don't trust them when they do that, because they usually go right through phantoms. Now, see, we'll see if it does, but let me show you what I'm talking about. High, low, higher, high. This is what we call your medium swing. Notice when this came down here, it never took out this swing. See it? Now it thrusts up again, and that's that same swing right there, or at least a secondary one, and it did take it out. See there? So that particular trade I don't trust here. But if you're going to take this one, what I'd recommend doing would be to do it on a separate chart. And we can go ahead and do that if you want. If it comes down here, this is support right here where that magenta line is. That's phantom. That is a ratchet up. But what I'd recommend is be very careful, because they took out what we call our secondary swing. You want to see if we can scalp it? Or if it even sets itself up. If you come down here and it bounces, then obviously that could be a phantom trade. If it goes right through it, then it's not going to be a phantom trade, and more than likely your trade will be down here. Let's speed it up and see, because I'm almost out of time. We'll just speed it up. Get one target out of the way. If this comes and bounces right here, let's just pretend that there. Okay, see, it didn't bounce there. It didn't even stop at phantom. Now, what I like to personally do when they do this right here, that was too quick, but see how that bounced? I got it going way too fast. Sorry about that. But anyway, you see where that bounced right where my line was? That's because that's what we call your longer term swing. That's your control key. That's lightning 3. Okay. So notice how you could have made some very decent money on that. Now look what we're getting right here. We've got a phantom trade going on. See it right here? Got 2 contracts in. Let's see if we can get our phantom trade. Should have already gotten it, because it hit phantom perfectly. First time, what? After a trend change? Right? Look at that. It worked. Went from blue to magenta, first time into phantom. Is that a decent trade? It'll sometimes even give you a second shot at it, but you want to really be ready for it when it gets up there between line 6 and 7. Okay, where's our target on this one? Well, they've already checked here, haven't they? So where's our next level of support? Right under here, right? Support right there, and there's support right there at that swing. That's where I'd be putting my targets, right there. Anybody have any questions? Do you understand what we mean by trend change before you take this particular type of trade? It's very important that you wait for the trend change, because if our software says the trend has changed, then that phantom trade is a pretty good trade. 80% probability that you're going to at least get a scalp, more than likely at least down to mid-band. Notice how it came right down to mid-band on that first one. You could have done this in 2 pieces. See, it came from phantom to mid-band, shorted again up here at phantom again, and you probably even take this out. Okay. Let's see. Do you wait for a lightning break on a double top? Well, the one thing about a double top that I like to watch for, if you get a double top, you'll probably take out phantom. Now that's a counter trend trade, but see how, to give an example, this topped out right here and then it took out phantom to the downside. Okay. That's what now that's, like I say, a counter trend trade, because that is not a phantom trade. That's actually just simply a double top trade, because remember, we're going long off of phantom bottoms, not and then of course, or pardon me, long off the bottoms and then short off the tops, right? So this would be a decent trade, but it's not called a phantom trade because the background and the mid band is not that color. Because when the mid band and everything is the proper color, that's a true trend change. See, that's a trend change right there. Okay, because we have the trend is down. Now it's starting to go sideways, makes me a little bit more nervous, but we could tighten our stop just above that swing as soon as it closes below here, if it does, just like we teach it. But that is a really good way, you know, and you may wait a couple of hours sometimes, but you will see these. That's why when I got up the other morning and you saw that chart that I traded, I took it and literally, you know, it pulled $1,800 in 3 trades. And that's not a bad way to trade. It was the first time into Phantom. It was an 80% probability trade. And you just take it and stay with the trend. And I believe me, you'll do better staying with the trend than you will going against it. Okay. Now let's speed this up, and I want everybody in here to tell me where the next trade is, and then we're going to wrap. Hopefully I don't speed it up too much. That's pretty speedy. Mid-band? First time after a trend change? What do you think? By the way, we called this trade this morning in the room and we got in on that bar, but let's just go ahead and pretend we're not in it. We're just going to go ahead and short it right now because it's breaking that little swing, and we're going to put our stop just above that. We called that exact trade in the room this morning, but where did we call it? I'm going to show you where it was called, because if you were in the room this morning, you're going to remember it, and I'm going to draw it, and then we're going to wrap. Okay, let's get rid of lightning 3. We'll get rid of region, and I want everybody to kind of tell me why that was chosen. Just what I've been talking about all morning. Watch this break. Okay, it's breaking support, right? That's a lightning support. Draw your line. What do they always do? They break down, right? What do you think it's going to do? It's going to come back and kiss it. See there? It's going to come back and kiss it. And you can put sniper on your chart. We took that trade on that bar right there this morning in the room, and I don't remember exactly what it did, but it, you want to see? We'll just fast forward it and see. Look at that. Nice little trade. Where's our stop on this trade? Anybody? Everybody? Just the way we teach it? Where's our stop on this trade? Well, right now it would be right here, wouldn't it? That's our lightning swing. Let's see if it takes it out. Y'all want to take it above it if it happens to take it out? That's our lightning swing right now anyway. Let's draw it. I can see lightning. I didn't want a bar close yet. That's all right. We'll kill it. I want it when it takes out lightning. That's lightning right there, by the way, too. So you could have taken it way down here. But let's just take it if it takes out that. That's the lightning swing, too. Just took it out. Bring my targets to a swing level. See where my swing levels are, like right across this area here. They'd be across this area right here. And that's what you do. And look at that, another nice trade. Now, why was that trade taken? Because that was a good lightning trade. That was a very good lightning trade. Where's another trade on this chart? Taught it for the last hour. It was right there, wasn't it? What did this chart do just a minute ago? It busted up above this swing right here. See that swing? And it came back and kissed it. Now we just missed that trade, but you know what? A lot of times when I do that, I turn on bar close, especially if we get a bar down like that one did just a second ago, and I'll take a bar close to the upside. Watch and see if we don't get that. It bounced right off of support, a little higher than support even, which is good, mid-band. And I'm going to add, let's just add 2. But isn't that same trade we just got through talking about? Is that first time after a trend change to a mid-band, touching mid-band? It is, isn't it? It's amazing. It's truly amazing if you just learn to trade this software. You want to just take it. If it takes the swing out, that's fine too. That's my ellipse. I'm good to go on it, right? What if I take a chance like this? See, I've got a swing right here that's not taken out. Everybody see that? You know why I just did that? And this was called in the room this morning too. That didn't take out my medium swing, and it closed below it. So I'd put one target down here. I put another target right there at that swing. And I put my stop pretty tight just in case this decides to blow up through here. But I would not reverse it unless it took this out and came back and kissed it. Now remember in the room this morning I was hollering this trade. I said, you know, we're not getting a higher high. You know, we're not taking out the medium swing. Be careful, you know, with your longs. And you want to see what if I remember right, what it did anyway. Move your target, move your stop. Look at that. It just doesn't get any easier than trading 80% trades. Was that a phantom trade just then? Absolutely it was. And your market doesn't move this fast, thank the Lord, right? If it did, you couldn't trade it. I mean, it would be impossible to trade. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap. We'll do this again tomorrow with the live trades and everything in the room. And I think you can clearly see mid-band trade, phantom trades. Do you hold them forever? No. You basically get the money when it goes to the mid-band and you can hold a runner, right? All right, thanks everyone. We will see you in the morning. Let's see, Michael P, just a second. Let me answer this real quick. 8:55, let me slow this down because I want to answer any questions that anybody has. 8:55, you said, why not short it? Right, where? 8:55, you're talking about right here at mid-band? Or right here, you mean? What you would do on that, like we teach though, you want to be careful, you know, being too aggressive, because the best way to do most trades is when you see this happen. Let's go back to this just real quick. Okay, is to box this. You know, if you're seeing this live, let me get rid of these. If you're seeing this live, this is what you do. Okay, first off, your swing is right here. That's our lightning swing. All right, now it gets up there and it starts to roll, right? Now I'm fairly aggressive, so I would have probably shorted that line, okay? Because I like to watch for resistance like that. Now, if you're boxing it, what you'd do is you'd see that you've basically got a little box right here, like so. There's your support. Whoop, right there where that swing is. So I wouldn't be taking a short on it myself until it took out that little swing, because that's lightning. And you'd more than likely get down there to the bottom. And in the case like that, it didn't actually do it. But remember also why we did that too? That's awful close to these lows right here too. You got to be really careful when they don't take fresh lows. But if you boxed it, you could easily take a trade like that too. Okay, thanks everyone. And remember too, first time into mid-band is your best trade. Okay, this was actually a first time right here. It went to phantom instead. This is your first time in the mid-band after a trend change. This is a riskier trade because usually they've done a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or something like that, and you're looking for these trend changes. Okay, and then of course just trade phantom again, trade mid-band again, and you get some pretty good moves. And then look for the trend to change again, and where do you think the next trade would be? Well, I see it right here. That's looking to the left to trade the right. And I also see it right here, looking to the left to trade the right. So it's already hit here, so I would think it would go higher. My ellipse is right here, so I'd probably get ready to box it in. But where did it break down at? It broke down right there. So I would expect it to actually come back there more than likely and test that. Let's see if it does. See there? Got you a scalp anyway. Now it changed trends, so you're out. But you see what that did? It came to the line, gave you more than a 10-tick trade. We didn't even know that was going to happen, did we? But by looking to our charts to trade the left and everything, that was a phantom trade. And that was at least a 10-tick phantom trade. Okay, again, thanks everyone. See you in the morning.